Exit strategies. Subject to existing financing by note buying. Objective. The objective of this chapter is to learn how to acquire properties by buying the debt secured by the property. Transaction description. Buying, subject to existing financing by note buying, is not a true short sale. Rather, it is another way to go about it. The investor buys the debt secured by the property from the creditor. As such, the investor now becomes a creditor secured by the property. This is best accomplished by first becoming the owner. The seller directly deeds the property to the investor. This kind of transaction requires note-buying expertise and is almost always done without the use of escrow services. Advantages. The advantages of this type of transaction are the same as in the other subject tos. Plus, after the foreclosure situation is resolved, the debt can be resold for more. Disadvantages. These are the main disadvantages of this type of transaction. Capital risk. Money is sent directly to the creditor. Those funds may be lost if there is any misunderstanding. The creditor may hold funds for several weeks prior to completing the sale of the debt. Sometimes, at the last minute, the creditor may change the decision to sell the debt. This can occur after holding the investor's money for several weeks. When this happens, the creditor may take a long time to return the funds. This is how buying subject to existing financing by note buying works. The seller is a homeowner. The buyer is an investor. Regular homeowners don't buy this way. In this kind of transaction, there can only be one creditor. Typically, there are two. Most commonly, there is a first mortgage and a second mortgage. The first mortgage needs to be the one for closing. This is difficult to do with more creditors. The seller directly deeds the property to the buyer. Now the investor becomes the owner. After becoming the owner, the investor buys the collateralized debt from the second position creditor. This is accomplished by assignment. Assignment. An assignment is a transfer of a borrower's loan obligation from one creditor to another creditor. The loan remains unchanged. The creditor changes. In loans secured by mortgage, the evidence of transfer of obligation is the assignment of mortgage. In loans secured by trust deed, the evidence of transfer of obligation is the assignment of trust deed. Assignment samples. This is a good example of an assignment of mortgage. This is an example of an assignment of trust deed. This is an additional example of an executed assignment of trust deed. It reads, "For value received, the undersigned assigns all beneficial interest under that certain deed of trust, together with all the note or notes therein described or referred to, the money due and to become due therein with interest, and all the rights accrued or to accrue under said deed of trust." This is the name and address of the assignee. Going back to the flow chart, the creditor assigns the debt and security interest in the property to the investor. At this point, the investor becomes owner of the property and creditor of the debt secured by the property. The creditor that assigned the debt is no longer associated with the property, the homeowner in foreclosure, or the investor. After becoming the owner and secured creditor, the investor reinstates the first mortgage. Then the first mortgage rescinds the foreclosure. This is how buying, subject to existing financing by note buying, closes. Review. The investor becomes a creditor secured by the property. The seller deeds the property directly to the investor. This transaction has capital risks.